Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. This is the Arlington County Board of Equalization. We have 6 cases on the agenda. I'm going to ask the first appellate, Ms. Tuminio, to turn your camera on, and Mr. King. Ms. Calkins, if you would turn your camera off until your case is called. Okay, so the first case we're going to hear is RPC 02065004, 4834 25th Road North. Miss Tuminio. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with that. Tuminio. You can start.
No problem.
Tell us about your property.
Go ahead and get started.
Sure. So we're Phil and Jen Tuminio, and we want to thank you for taking the time to hear our appeal today. We've been homeowners in Arlington since 2012, and we're raising our family here. So we appreciate your service on the board and allowing us to explain why county's assessment of our home is erroneous. I'm sorry, did you say you just wanted us to introduce first what our property was, or just you want to hear our appeal?
No, we know what your property is. We've read the case. You have 8 minutes just to present whatever information you want to tell us.
Sure. So the dispute that we filed is laid out on several grounds in support of our appeal, including misidentification of comparable properties, which we'll just call comps today. Also, we feel that our home has been unfairly targeted with a rate of increase that exceeds, comps from recent sales from similar or superior homes. This is based on 2024 sales. So to break it down, we're going to walk through some thoughts about the comps that I think the county has cited, and then we'll provide some detail on the dozen comps that we provided in our written appeal to the county that we feel are superior comps based on their sales from 2024. So a couple thoughts about the county's comps. So I mean, in looking what they provided us, it looks like 9 comps were cited, and this is page 6 of the notice that we received from March 8th, 2024. It's not really clear what the county has relied on, except that they're close to our house, but there's a real range in properties that makes the basis very unreliable, both for a rate increase and also for providing notice of what we actually have to appeal. But I mean, some of the issues are that, the sales from these comps are 2022 and 2023. So some are getting a little stale. And I mean, what a difference a year and a half makes, right? With interest rates and everything else, buyers and sellers. I mean, so many of the comps are not great comps for a variety of reasons. Like the number of bedrooms vary quite a bit. The number of bathrooms varies a lot. The lot sizes vary. The finished spaces vary quite a bit. But probably the most striking thing is that, if you look at the 2024 assessments for these comps, I mean, most of them, well, when they're all over the ballpark, but most of them are not even in the same map, right? They're starting from very, very different places, which suggests that they're not really true comparables. I could walk through the assessments from 2024 and 2023 for these comps that the county provided. If you wish, I could match them, but I mean, suffice it to say, if it pleases the board, I could do that, right? I could read them off and match the streets. I just assume that since they're in the county's record, that you have access to all this, the county's website, which is what we pulled as well. But I mean, in general, a lot of them start at under $1 million or way under $1 million, and there's one that's significantly higher than ours, and we can talk about that in a second. But sort of supporting this idea that these houses are not in the same class and they're not fairly comps, are not fairly noticed. The price per square footage is also all over the place for here. The one comp the county provided that maybe comes a little bit close is 4824 26th Street North. But there's some big differences with this place. It's a 1996 build. It's a new build compared to our house, which is a reno from the 1940s. It has more beds. That's significant. It has a garage. That's really significant, right?
In this area, yeah.
In this area. So, I mean, it's not fair to compare the two, although it looks like there's some effort to be dragging our home as a reno up into the same ballpark
Yeah.
as the rebuild. I mean, it's possible that 4824 is overassessed, but that's not really why we're here today. So, I mean, in some, like even a brief look at the 2024 assessments for the county's comp shows that we're not really looking at like things. It's not a fair basis to provide us notice or to raise our comps. I mean, one of them, like in looking at the change in assessments between 2023 and 24, it looks like it actually dropped. It was negative in some way. This is 5004 Street. So I don't know. I mean, that's one more data point. So to turn to the comps that we provided a dozen comps, and the organizing basis here is that they're North Arlington, and they're close. Some are very close. They're all 2024 sales, so they provide a more accurate picture of the market. Except for the comp we provided at 1717 North Edison Street. These were all built in the 40s, 50s, or 60s. They have more or less the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms. I think the big point is that the 2024 assessments on all of them are lower, and maybe more importantly is that the percentage increase in their assessments from 2023 to 2024 is much lower than ours. So for example, at 5600 Yorktown Boulevard, I think their rate of increase was just at 1.7%. Ours stands at much higher than that, right? Ours is something like 8.4% total assessment increase by my calculation. But to just draw your attention, as we're running out of time, to like 3 of the dozen comps, I would say 5505 32nd Street North. This one is close. It's like 0.9 miles. It's 1955 construction with the 1985 reno like us. It does have a much bigger lot and some more space in the garage. But even with all that, their percentage increase is 5.8%. That's less than ours. With a total assessment of 1.37 million, that's less than ours. Moving closer to our house at 4912 28th Street North, I mean, this is really close. It's about 0.3 miles and a 9-minute walk if you walk slowly. This place is a 1952 construction with a 1997 reno, and it has a 2-car garage too, in addition to more space. It's assessed at $1.29 million at just a 4.3% total assessment increase year on year, and that's like half of ours. And then finally, if you were to look at 4837 27th Street North, this place is ridiculously close. It's like 0.2 miles, a 5-minute walk. It's a 1953 construction with a 2-car garage, and it's got a bigger lot. It had a recent sale price of $1.48 million, and it's still assessed much less than ours at $1.238 million. Also at a rate of increase much lower than ours, 4.2%. One final factor that we cited in our written appeal that we think the home is erroneously assessed is that we learned this year that when we did our reno, the county did a virtual inspection instead of a real one. And I mean, that's fine. We understand.
And we finished in 2022.
Yeah.
So we didn't think to ask the question of, did the county come in person to verify that the plans we submitted were in fact what was done? And we had changed midstream.
Yeah. So like we've got it. I mean, that's fine. It was COVID. There were virtual inspections and this and that. But I mean, it led to our home being assessed at
a higher rate because we had an extra bathroom in there and what was a deck, which were removed.
It was assessed including it was assessed with 1 extra bathroom, right? So we never had 5 bathrooms and we never had a deck, right? So in
All right,
some
thank you. You've run out of time. Thank you so much. Mr. King for the county, please.
Good morning, board. 4834 25th Road North is a 2-story single-family home with 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and a finished basement. The property is built in 1940 and has an effective age of 2010, owing to a large renovation and addition permit completed over 2021 and 2022. During the renovation, the kitchen, the main level were renovated, and a second level was added to the property. The appellant in their write-ups believes that the subject property is being possibly unfairly compared to new construction home in the area. However, the subject property's assessment of $1.4 million is far below the assessment and sales prices of new construction homes in the area. The new construction homes in the area range in sales price from $1.8 million to about $2.3 million. I think there was a little bit of confusion about how we use comps versus the neighborhood analysis. I think some of the references that the appellants made to other properties are going off our neighborhood analysis sheet, which is on page 17, I think. So those are not going to be all the properties that are directly comparable to the property. Those are going to be all the sales that are used in the analysis to generate the differences in valuation year to year. But I think the comps that we did provide for the direct property comparison in the comp sheets, so starting on page 6, are fairly good and strong. So a strong market for those expanded and renovated properties. Comparable number 2 has a similar effective age and quality. It does have one less bathroom, but it sold for $1,417,750 in April of 2023. Comparable number 5 is an updated 1947 property with a similar size and 3.5 bathrooms compared to the subject's 4. This property sold for $1,525,000 in December of 2022. I've included 5 comparable sales to show that the subject property assessment is in line with other sale properties of similar expanded and renovated properties. The assessment did go down a bit following some minor corrections of the property, and combined with the comparable sales, the department recommends a reduction of the 2024 assessment to $1,397,400. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members?
Oh, first, for the appellant, did you discuss with Mr. King or anybody else in the department the methodology they use to decide what is a comparable and what isn't, and how they go about mass appraisal?
I don't recall discussing it with Mr. King. I want to say Mr. King was very friendly and professional, and like we appreciate his time as well.
He came down, he did,
Yeah.
discuss that, some of the properties were, under assessed due to age and the fact that people hadn't done renovations. And so there was a little bit of a reset as the county was starting to come in and look at these properties.
Okay, I'll be a little bit more specific. Maybe I didn't do a good enough job. Most of your comparables, maybe all of them, show very reasonably recent sales dates, December 2023, January 2024. In mass appraisal, standard mass appraisal, those are too new. There's a time frame that they take sales from a quote assessment period, and it ends long before your comparables. Are you ever hear anything about that from anybody in the department?
No.
Okay, great.
No.
That's all I want to know. Thanks. For Mr. King, did you have any comparables on your comparable sheet that are in their neighborhood, the appellant's neighborhood? I realize I missed a page here.
I don't think so. This is a pretty small neighborhood.
Just word it is the answer.
No, there's nothing on the comp sheet in their neighborhood.
Right,
No.
thanks a lot.
Okay, to follow up on that, Mr. King, can you, for the benefit of these appellants and the other appellants that are coming after, state the actual analysis period that the county?
Sure. So the sales that we're looking at for our analysis period are going to be September 1st of the preceding year to August 31st. So for 2024 assessment, it'd be September 1st of 2022 to August 31st of 2023. And then, of course, anything after January, we try and look at later sales. Obviously, anything after January 1 is not even relevant because our assessments are issued are for the first of the year.
Okay, so for the appellant, just so that you better understand, when the county's doing the assessments on all the properties, they look at these sales from September 2022 through August of 2023. And then they pull together all this information. They send it out in November, or they set it up in November, and then the bills go out January 1st. So the problem is the sales that you have in 2024 will be for the following year. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Our comps provide sort of, I guess, additional support for our argument. I mean, we took care, like today, to directly address all of the comps that were within the time period that the county cited,
Okay.
right?
All right, I just want to make sure that you understand that we can't.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. All right, other board members? No? Okay, Mr. King, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Sure. So while we didn't have anything in the appellant's neighborhood of 52018 to kind of reinforce the value, we did go outside the neighborhood a bit just to reinforce that some of these expanded, renovated properties over the past 15 or so years there is a strong market for them. We're seeing them up in the 1.4s, 1.5s, that sort of valuation. There is some time differences that, may have contributed to the appellant's differences in opinion of value. But we feel with the comp sheet and the slight changes that we made to the record, that we recommend the reduction for 2024. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. and Mrs. Dominio, if you take a minute to wrap up your case.
Sure. Even if you were to exclude all of the comps that we cited, the ones the county provided, they failed to match apples to apples with our house. The county had a chance to sort of directly scope out and detail in paper today, right, why their houses match ours in terms of size, renovation qualities, square footage, and they haven't done any of that. And instead, they've given us a bunch of houses with assessments which are far out of the league of ours and like patently at face value, they're poor matches, right? But we do thank Mr. King for his time and everyone for your time, and respectfully, we ask for a lower assessment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's just among the board members. We're focused on this. Mr. Metzger.
What poke out at me was that the improvement increased 14% in a neighborhood where there were no sales. And the overall property, 7%, where there are no sales. Now in Arlington, going up 7% is not particularly shocking. Based on what is my question? More particularly the improvement. That seems, what do you guys think?
Oh, God.
Sorry, they don't really separate exactly what is going, if it really went up on as far as improvement, base is going to be the land value, then whatever is added is.
Yeah, fair enough. That's good.
I don't think in this case, the county did. I've been looking at compliments, even land sales are going for just on land sales.
Good place to call this in your judgment.
I think, and this is a nice addition. When you look at the houses.
It's a good thing they peeled just to get the exact amenities correct, because they're a little bit off.
Sometimes the improvement value, I think this year is going to be more noticeable. Because land value is not really.
You think it's decreasing the land values?
Not really decreasing, but not reaching to levels that they had in the past.
Yeah, the land values, my experience is land values are going down, mostly due to the interest rates and cost of materials for new construction.
Like there was one comparable kind of provided, I think it's 4837, that's sold for 480 tear down. They relisted that as a land sale for 114.
Right.
They haven't sold it, but
What's the address?
4837. 27. 27.
2 blocks away.
I think the value's there.
I don't know.
You want to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and move that we confirm the revised, to reduce the assessment to the proposed amount of $1,397,400.
Second.
I'll second.
Mr. Mendez, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. The assessment is reduced to the county's revised number of $1,397,000. Thank you. Okay, do we have Mr. Vogt and Julian Mills? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, the next case on the agenda is RPC 13011-046 in North Kensington Street. Mr. Vogt, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about the property, sir.
Yes, good morning, and thank you for your time this morning. Yes, as you indicated, I reside at 883 North Kensington Street. The builder at the time in 2004 built 5 homes, basically the same 5-bedroom, 5-bath, approximately 3,200 square feet above ground. This year, my assessment went up $85,500. Land value remained the same, so this increase was in the building value. That's a 5.65% overall increase. in the building value, it's 11.26% increase, which is substantial. The county was very nice to provide information on the average increase in my area, which was 2.3%, just as a data point. What I did once I found this large increase, I compared our 5 homes with 5 comps from the area. And in doing so, looking and pursuing a costs approach, I was comparing cost build value per square feet. And in doing so, the 5 homes, including mine, that I'm speaking about, they were at $265 per square foot, linked to building value. When I looked at comparables in the area, all of the same size homes, approximate size homes and quality, they were ranging much lower at $249 a square foot. So as we apply that formula to my home, that would reduce by $48,000 the building value, which again, we're looking at what would be the reasonable costs for labor and materials should the home need to be rebuilt. And I believe the 5 comps that I have provided are all reasonable within my neighborhood and similar size, yet considerable difference in terms of what the cost per above ground square foot would be. So my proposal would be a new assessed value of $1,549,600, which would increase year over year by 2.5% versus the 2.3% that is the average for my area, but would bring it more in line with other homes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mills for the county, please.
Good morning, everyone. As the homeowner stated, we have the property at 883 North Kensington Street, which is a 2-story cement fiber siding home. Has 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, with a finished square foot of 3,200 and a finished basement square foot of 1,150. The year built 2003 and quality excellent, and the neighborhood 50, 40, 42. The appellant's concern is that in calendar year 2003, properties 883 and 885A North Kensington Street filed an assessment appeal, which they were successful in reducing the building value. The quality was reduced from excellent plus to excellent. For each of those 5 homes, as the homeowner mentioned, they all have about the same footprint, which he believes was recaptured disproportionately, $85,500 this year. As the homeowner stated, some of the assessments comps that he used, 905 North Kensington Street, which is 2-story brick veneer, 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath, has a finished square foot of 3,429, basement finished square foot of 872. This house was built in 1951 with an effective age of 2005, quality excellent. It resides in the same neighborhood with an assessment value of 1.6. This home was built at a later year than the subject property and has more finished square foot. It is similar. He has a lot of comps, so I won't go through every single one of them. So I'll just skip forward to some of the concerns and address what he has. That the appellant noted that the price per square foot of the home was higher than the comps that were provided due to the difference in quality, build year, effective age, interior and exterior features of the home. The subject property dollar amount per square foot is lower than comparable properties. The county does not use a dollar per square foot formula when assessing properties. The valuations involves land and improvement values. Sales comps for this case were used a little later from 2021. because the subject is in a small group of homes that were all built right next to each other with, as we mentioned, similar footprints. The last time one of these homes were sold was in 2021, very similar to the subject. Sales are over 3 years old, but they demonstrate market value and demonstrate equalization. Another more recent sale, as I provided to demonstrate in 2023, if you can go to page, I'm just scrolling down to page 4. One other assessment comp we have is 5400 8th Road North. That one sold for 1.5 million on July the 12th, 2003. This one has a year build of 1992 and effective age of 2012, finished square foot of 3,254. It has a lower condition quality at very good plus. It's a 2-story, three full, 1/2 bath, 500 square feet finished in the basement. And this has an assessment value of 1.547. So the county would like to confirm the assessment as it is at let me scroll back up, 1.597,600. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from the board members? Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, for the county, the land assessment between this one and 885 is a little bit higher. The land value, why is that? Why is it higher?
Land assessment will be higher based on the square footage of the lot. So the square footage of the lot for the subject property is 6,703.
And what's the square footage of comp 2?
Comp 2.
74, 71. Right on the sheet.
It's
Okay.
the lot size is 7,471, as you can see on page 4.
So it's only the square footage is the only reason there's a difference in lot values.
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
Mr. Mendez?
Yeah, this is for the department or the appellant. Why was there a decrease in assessment last year?
We decreased.
Is this for the appellant or for?
BOE. John,
Yeah.
right, the first page.
Oh,
Yeah, so the appellant filed for a review last year. At first, we hadn't confirmed, but we went back to relook at it, and the quality was adjusted from excellent plus to excellent. So all 5 of those homes received the quality adjustment to excellent to better equalize homes that were built around that time period in 2003. So there was a quality adjustment.
thank you.
Any other questions? No? Mr. Mills, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Yes. So in conclusion, scroll back down 1 second. In conclusion, as I stated, the appellant noted that the property was higher at $1 per square foot. But however, the county does not use dollar per square foot formula when assessing those properties in the valuation, as well as I like to point out and consider that these homes are a lot larger than the average homes within the neighborhood. These homes are at 3,200 square feet. The largest home sold last year was at 1,700 square feet. So these homes are assessed a lot larger, as well as homes with higher quality receive a higher improvement value increase within the year. So it's recommended that the 2024 assessment be confirmed at 1.597,600. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vogt, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Yes, thank you. I would just state that the 5 homes we're speaking of have been consistently valued at the same at $265 per square foot. And the comps I provided are all neighborhood homes, and they're running at $249 per square foot. And a cost approach is a valid approach for assessing building value, as the land values have not changed. That's the approach that I took last year, and which resulted in the reduction, and the approach I've taken this year to assess comps. Thank you.
All right, thank you both. It's just among the board. I would disagree strongly with the appellant that the cost approach is a valid method to establish
I
market.
disagree with that.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, Fannie Mae doesn't accept it. A lender doesn't accept it. I mean, it's used for, insurance stuff.
Or rebuild.
For cost to rebuild, replacement coverage, but it's never acceptable. It means a method, but the market approach to the sales is really number one. So, I mean, based on that and comp 3, I'm fine with comp.
I thought, just to support your point a different way, in the middle of page 3, the department wrote in the first couple of pages of the full paragraph saying that the comps are similar, but the difference in quality, build year, effective age, interior, exterior features put a different, adjust the dollars per square foot to make them actually his home lower. And appellants can't know all of these things. They can't know what the quality is. And so it's to take the cost approach, the rebuild approach, it is impossible for appellants to successfully achieve. They don't have.
I need to know whether they're ramblers, 2-stories,
Yeah.
different types.
We've certainly seen this.
But what I found persuasive is comp 2, and it does have a larger lot, but other than the increase in the lot assessment based on that, it's significantly larger. They're the same. So that's what I find persuasive.
No, I mean, I can't find any way to really make a reduction, especially for a square foot. Some areas, some states do that, but it's an easy way to value something. It doesn't really reflect like the county does, the quality, square footage and stuff like that.
Which I assume is the way it's done around here in this metropolitan area. I mean, it's not unique to Arlington County by any means.
It's a standard appraisal.
Yeah, it's a standard. That's the word I was looking
I'll move to confirm the committee. Second.
for.
Second, Mr. Maskin, all in favor? Aye, opposed, it's unanimous. The county's confirmed at $1,997,600. Thank you both. Okay, do we have Mr. Paul?
Bulb, yes.
Yeah, Angel? The assessor on?
Yes, yeah. Sure.
Oh, there we go.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm you.
Next case on the agenda is the third case, RPC 09075002 at 1003 North Harrison Street. Mr. Paul, you can take 8 minutes and tell us about this property, sir.
Good morning and live from my classroom. So sorry for the mess. I won't take nearly all 8 minutes. Good morning and thank you for your service to Arlington. When I appeared before this board last year, I was granted a 1-year adjustment. As I recall, I believe that it was believed that future assessments would likely even out my future increases and that no permanent adjustment was necessary, and I trusted the process. This past winter, when assessments came out and it said over 1 million, I was shocked. As I prepared to appeal, I noticed it had been adjusted to 967,800 on the tax database and was told upon inquiry that the 1 million was actually an error. It was my belief, and I believe the supporting documents show that 967,800 is an outsized assessment. Comps coming from surrounding zones, not exactly in my exact neighborhood due to the lack of sales, which is an experience we're seeing everywhere. And my wife and I actually spent several hours going back and forth trying to figure out ones that we felt actually met all the requirements. So we did. There was some thought to the comps we chose to keep them in the date range and comparable and nearby. The material challenges to my property and location that were actually identified by the BOE members last year obviously would not have changed, and it's my belief that a fair increase from last year's adjustment would bring the new assessed value to just under $916,000. And again, thank the members of the board for their time and the county staff who give their work to the people of Arlington, and I look forward to discussion and a favorable decision. Thank you.
Ms. Kunja for the county, please.
Good morning, board. So this is a two-story house with three bedrooms, 2 full baths and a half bath. Year built is 1947 and the effective age is 1977. The quality is good plus and finished square footage is 1,248 with 530 square foot for the basement. The appellant in the application stated that the home should be assessed at 950,000 and they provided 3 comps. This is RPC 022019. This property is very similar to the subject with the same bed bath count, with the only difference being the half bath in the subject and the same year built and quality. The subject has a slightly larger square footage and basement to this property and is currently assessed at 1,027,300. The second RPC was 09021,007. This property is also almost the same as the subject, same quality and below grade finished square footage. This property has a much larger above grade finished square footage and much recent effective age compared to the subject. It is currently assessed at 1,044,200. The last RPC is 10023023, which is this property is very superior to the subject. It has an addition, making the finished living square footage to be larger. And it also has a higher quality and effective age, currently assessed at 1,228,000. The department used 3 comps to support the value for the subject property, and these comps can be found on page. I'm sorry. The department used 5 comps in their review, which can be found on page 4 and 5, 3 of which were sales comps and 2 assessment comps. Direct sales were difficult to find for a single family home that only has 1,228 square footage of finished square footage in the neighborhood. So all comps were from outside the appellant's neighborhood. Appellant's neighborhood 50-50-40 increased on average 7.2% due to sales that occurred within the analysis period and within the neighborhood. The appellant's home increased by 9.1%, 1.9% above the neighborhood average increase. To address the appellant's concern about Harrison Street being a through road, a busy road study was conducted and all sales that were used did not indicate that an adjustment is needed. The busy road study can be found on page 30 of the BOE packet. Lastly, the appellant wanted their assessment to be 887,400, which is 37,000 more than what is sold for in 2022. There were no homes during the analysis period that sold for that low for neighborhood 50-50-40, and the average change for the neighborhood 7.2%. And when we add that to the 887,400 from last year, it gives us 951,300. This is to demonstrate that regardless of the reduction from last year, homes in the neighborhood still saw an increase. So it is for this reason we would like to ask the board to confirm the 2023 assessment of 967,800.
Did you say my house has 2.5 bathrooms?
Sorry.
Sorry, that was a mistake. It has 3 bedrooms and 2 full baths. One
Okay.
story house with 3 bedrooms and 2 full baths.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's just I'm sorry, it's questions from board members. Mr. Mendez.
The department mentioned the difference between the average increase and the increase of the subject property. Do you know why the subject property saw a larger increase than the average in the neighborhood?
So the neighborhood in general had a average change. The average change for 2024 was 7.2%. And after cost table updates, the most improvement values in that neighborhood went up. So that's why the property went up by 9.1. And also it was going by the value that the department had set for last year's assessment, not what the BOE value was.
Other questions? Okay, Ms. Kunja, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
In conclusion, after looking at the sales comps for this neighborhood, the inspection and thorough department review, it is in the department's opinion to confirm the 2024 assessment amount at 967,800, an amount we believe is fair and equitable. We therefore ask the board to confirm this amount.
Thank you. Mr. Paul, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Oh, thank you. Just if we go off the percentages as mentioned, I believe that a lower assessment would be fair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's just among the board members now. Everybody.
I'll start. I think it's a little high.
Why?
Well, I'm looking at the comps and what they sold for and then what the assessed value is. And I know, like, for example, comp 3, that happened in 2022, sold for 950, assessed at 951. He bought in July of that year for 850 and it's 967. I just think it's a little high. I'll see if anyone agrees.
I'll take it from a different
Mr. Metz.
angle. Thank you. And the percentage increase for this year is based off not what it's not on here. And it's a question I was going to ask and I missed it of the appellant. I apologize to everyone, but it's based off what the department determined the value was last year and not what the BOE determined the value was last year. And I'm trusting us to have made a wise or fair choice in reducing it last year. And I'm concerned that ignoring that based on no sales in the neighborhood, based on no hard evidence, which is certainly not the department's fault, that they just disregarded this equivalent discussion last year and just went off the original assessment. Again, you're looking quizzical as you should, because on the first page it doesn't show that we reduced it, but on page 2, the appraiser relates what the appellant's concern is, and the appellant stated it, namely that it was reduced last year by us. And the department said, well, we've taken this year's increase based off the department's determination last year and not that decreased amount. But it's not reflected. None of that is reflected.
Oh, no, I understand.
Did you know, Greg, why we reduced it last year?
We didn't.
You
We did.
know,
That was the 887
It's
400.
not listed on the sheet though.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I was looking for it on the sheet.
Yeah,
That's what
I mean, you
remembered.
keep stuff year after
Yeah,
year.
so I was concerned about the traffic on that street.
That's
There's
my
no
recollection.
sidewalk and it's a little narrow. And so, you know, if you're shopping and you've got kids, you kind of take that in consideration for these smaller lots. Because it is a way to get across Wilson and, you know, people fly through there. So we saw a pretty bad
Get
accident
across 66.
down the street from there one time. So that would, just from recollection, that's probably why we knocked it down, and
Yeah.
probably why the county included the study on page 30 about home sales in Harrison to try to say that there's not an impact. But Barnes, I'm looking at the sale in 22 at 850. That does concern me, right? I mean, that's the hottest time to buy. I mean, that was an absolute seller's market in July of 2022 with lower than 3% interest rates. And to say that now he could turn around, I don't think the department noted any improvements to the property. He's going to turn around and make $117,000 flipping that house in 7% mortgage rates. Doesn't make any sense to me logically. Just looking at the property itself.
I don't know exactly where it should go. That's
Yeah.
my problem.
Yeah.
I just think it's high.
I do too.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, but my problem here that I'm looking at comp 3,
That's what I'm looking
the
at.
closest one to it. 1228 versus 1395. Comp 3 has one bathroom, a little bit larger basement, one person. The lot
Right.
size is much smaller.
Small lot, yeah.
You know, so when you look at that, I mean, they're only looking at 100, you know, look at the buildings, 145.9 versus 146.1.
Square footage of lots isn't really that decisive in establishing value. It's more, is it a building lot? And
Right, and I would normally agree with you,
Yeah.
but this is under 6,000 square feet. So this is a small lot,
Uh-huh.
you know, versus 7,500. I mean, that's a,
What's a small lot? Top three.
Top three. So, I mean, it's in line with, I hear what you're saying. It is in line with the comps that are selling.
Well, just to throw something out, see if anyone salutes, how about we establish it at 951,200? See if anyone agrees.
So you're saying that it's equal with.
Yeah, I'm just to throw something out.
That. Yeah, I took the 2023 number and then I applied the average, 7.25%, and I got about 951. So I could.
951,300.
I could live with that.
That's funny.
Which number?
The 7.2% increase.
Yeah.
Just the average.
The neighborhood.
Yeah.
Logical.
Coincidence, I guess.
That's better than going back to the hill.
Yeah, let's do that. That's more justifiable than what I came up with.
Close.
Right, Mr. Mendez, do you want to?
Sure, I'll make a motion to reduce the assessment to 1,300.
I'll second.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Can you give the logic of what you did?
Yeah, based on the average for the neighborhood. And personally, I think it's on a busy street also. I think that. Yeah.
Right, but.
That's a 7.2% increase from 2023.
Yeah.
So 7.2% increase
From last year's.
from 2023. That's
right.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a motion by Mr. Mendez. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Lawson, second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, the assessment has been reduced to 951,300 based on the average assessment from 2023 of 7.2%.
So 951,300, it was cutting out.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Next we have Chris Chesser on.
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, all right, the next case on the agenda is I consider 1002419 739 18th Street North. Ms. Chester, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about the property. Can you turn your camera on, please?
Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, I appreciate your time today. I have lived in my house for the last 14 years. And as noted in the county appraisal, it's kind of an original colonial house. It doesn't have any additions. It doesn't have any upgrades since I've lived in it. I've done some compares while my assessment did not rise much at all for this year. It's rised exponentially, probably for the last 4 to 5 years. And I've been challenged in previous protests with finding comparable properties. And this year I actually found some comparable properties. So as noted in my documentation, some of the properties that I chose had a sales price. The one property had a sales price of $955,000 in 2023, and that house was pretty much identical to mine. And I want to note that that property also had a higher assessed value in 2023 of $975, but it sold for $955. Also, the county chose 2 alternative properties to mine that they put in there. And the property on 19th Street sold for $950,000 in 2022. And while that house is not similar to my house, if you look at the pictures at the bottom of my presentation, you'll see that that house is completely remodeled with all brand new kitchen, bathrooms, everything. And it sold for $950,000. And the assessed value on that house for 2024 is $951,000. It has a smaller lot than my size, but it has a higher square footage. So, I did do the same thing, a price per square foot. When I look at my house is the smallest square footage of both the compares that I provided plus those that the county provided. Our lots are more or less in line in the 6,000 foot range. One of the county compares is a 7,000 square foot lot, and that house I just described is a 5,000 square foot lot. But when I have the smallest house at 1,248 square feet. But when you look at price per square feet, my property taxes are exponentially higher. So I believe that my property should be valued more in the line with those other properties that are in, that's sold in the 950 range. I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kuhnhay, for the county?
Good morning again. So this is a 2-story house with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths and a half bath. The year built is 1947 and effective age is 1977, with the quality at good plus and the finished square footage at 1,248, with 530 square foot for the basement. The appellant in the application stated that the home should be assessed at 950,000. They provided 3 comps, which you just mentioned just now, RPC 09022019 and RPC 09021007, which are quite similar to the appellant's home, but have a higher adjustment. And then the last RPC is 10023023, which is superior to the subject and has a higher assessment, quality, and effective age. The department used 3 comps to support the value for the subject property, and these comps can be found on page 4 of the BOE package. The appellant's neighborhood 50-50-20 increased on average by 0.8% due to sales that occurred within the analysis period and within the neighborhood. The property's quality is equalized with other properties in the neighborhood that have the same quality assignment at good plus. The subject property saw a 0.7% increase for the 2024 assessment, which is 0.1% below the neighborhood average of 0.8%. After the interior and exterior inspection, no changes were made to the effective age and the quality. The home last sold in 2010, and at that time, the home had undergone a lot of updates, mainly in the kitchen, bathrooms, basement, roofs, floors, and windows. The house is still in the same condition and no other updates have been made. However, a small correction in value was made to the property record due to some changes that were made to the sketch during the inspection. And lastly, the appellant wanted the assessment to be 950,000, and homes that sold for that amount in our analysis period were RPC 10023016, which is a comp the department has used on page 4. This home is slightly larger in size but inferior in quality. It is for this reason we would like to ask the board to confirm the reduction for the 2024 assessment at 996,400. Thank you.
And thank you both. Questions from board members? Mr. Matzke.
I want to make sure I understood this right. This is for the department. You had just said that you found some improvements in your inspection to the home, given that the appellant said there had been no improvements since she's been there for 14 years.
No, it wasn't an improvement. We're removing crawl space from the front porch in the rear.
Yeah,
so
I see that.
Yeah, so that had showed a reduction to the
thank you.
improvement value.
Okay, great.
And could I just ask one question, because I saw that in.
Excuse me.
No.
You'll get a chance to.
Okay.
Talk in a minute. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members? No. Ms. Kuhnhay, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
In conclusion, after looking at the sales comps for the neighborhood, the inspection and thorough department review, it is in the department's opinion to confirm the 2024 assessment amount at 996,400, an amount we believe is fair and equitable. We therefore ask the board to confirm this amount.
Thank you. Ms. Chesser, you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to call out the property, the 563 19th Street North. I saw that got an average rating in quality, but if you look at those pictures I sent at the bottom of my presentation when that house was sold, that house looks to me to be completely remodeled, but.
Okay. All right. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Now it's just among the board. Go ahead. You can start.
Once again, I need to array my questions for the appellant and the department better. So I had a question for the department based on exactly what the appellant's wrap up was, namely, it appears to be a newer than an effective age of 1985 based on those pictures. And so I want to know if the department had, but they're the pros and I'm not, did they come up with that 1985 number based on apparently the improvements affected for sale or not. Had they not gotten around to it yet? Had they not visited the home because consequent to the sale? So I don't know the answer. If it's certainly they haven't gotten around to it yet. But I didn't ask the question. It's my bad.
Right, I've got concern on count 3 myself. When I look at the subject property, our property has a less effective age. It's a little bit smaller. It's got half bath more, smaller finished basement. Don't worry about the, because the lot is the lot. So to me, it's inferior to count 3. So I just don't see how this could be assessed higher than count 3's building assessment.
Isn't quality of good plus better than quality of average plus? I'm asking, not telling.
Sorry?
Good should be better than average.
Yeah, it's once the quality's higher for the appellant. I want to make sure.
Yeah.
All right. Certainly the effective ages are the same.
They're close enough.
Effectively the same.
Yeah. No, so I mean, I don't know. I look at if you take what the land's assessed on the property based on the 6,700 square feet and then equalize it with count 3 building, you end up at 957.
Even?
Oh, wait. I'm sorry, it just kicked off. Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah, 957. That makes sense to
I
me.
think that's more in line. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Based on what?
Yeah, comparable is that I don't think it's the same house type. It's more like a Cape Cod than a colonial. And I looked at the comparables that the appellant provided, and those are more, pretty much, it looks like the same. There's one that she provided, I think it's 5713 16th Street. I know it shows it has more square footage, but that square footage is included as the basement. It has a little bit less than tenants. It has 1196 square feet. So
And what's that assessment?
that's assessed at 136,500.
Falls right through my theory.
And last year, it was 979,300. And his was 989. So we go from 989 to 996. I don't think.
I was okay with the county assessment. To your point about comp 3, there is an additional half bath for the subject property and the condition is good plus.
Right.
So,
Excuse me, how about a compromise of going to where it was last year? And I also noticed that the applicant estimated value 950. Also, there's a note, home should be valued at 960.
Yeah, that's and then right up there.
Yeah.
I think it's a typo because the department, she reiterated it's 950.
I kind of agree with Mary. I think it's over, but I don't think it necessarily went down from last year.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
What's that?
I'd be okay with that. Not a really big difference, but I think it's,
do that.
Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we reduce the value to 989,300 based upon it being the assessed value for 2023.
Okay, for a second. Mr. Metzger, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'll say,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I'm not, I think.
I'm with you
there.
Okay, the assessment is reduced to 989,300. Not to be higher than last year's assessment. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, board.
That's good. Me doing it.
Have Mr. Downs
Yes, yeah.
and Ms. Churchill.
Hi, thank you for
Okay,
having
hold on.
me. Oh, sorry.
Hold on. Next case on the agenda is RPC 2101813, 2nd Street South. Mr. Downs, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about your property, sir.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just so excited.
Like that
Yeah,
you're
so last year, my wife and I, I guess I'm a lifelong Arlington resident, but this is my first house. We bought 5619 2nd Street South. So we lived there with our daughter, and we were expecting that the property taxes would rise, as is probably expected every year in Arlington. But we were a little shocked when we saw that it rose from the assessment from 2023 rose from $830,600 to $928,200. A change of, well, I had it at 11.8%. The county's at 11.7%, but just under 12%. The neighborhood that we live in is one of the oldest Arlington neighborhoods, so finding comparables from recent sales is quite difficult. I can't really challenge the county on some of their comparables, except for a few cases. One, we were compared against ourselves, which I'm not sure how exactly. I think that would have some effect, and sort of bias in the numbers. And then also, like I said, as it's an old neighborhood, one of the houses we were compared against to was an 1880s Victorian house, which is not really similar to ours, which was built in the 60s. And our house is on the smaller end in terms of finished square footage than some of the comparables. Some of them, roughly comparable, but I would say it's slightly smaller than most ones it's compared against. Our main concern is sort of the inequitable changes in assessments in the neighborhood in terms of sort of the 2 to 3 block area. So I submitted to the board I could have done more, but there were a lot of reduplication. 4 other houses within a 2 to 3 block area that had an average increase in about 1.9%. I think the last one on the list, 5604 2nd Street South, right across the street. It's actually part of, I think, 3 or 4 houses that were built in the same year, 1972, that all saw a similar increase in assessment of under 1%, despite the fact that all 4 of these houses have more finished square footage than our house. And with the exception of 2 of them are newer. Last, while I recognize that, well, when I first did this being the first time that I've challenged the county, I gave an estimation or sort of a recommendation that my assessment go up 3%, which would have been higher than the comparable ones in my neighborhood. And so I had that at about 850,000. I recognized that that was probably optimistic, given the rest of the recent home sales. But I still believe that the increase of almost 12% is inequitable given the character of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Churchill for the county, please.
Good morning, everyone. An interior and exterior inspection was conducted on this property on March 6th of 2024 with Trussovitis. The property is a 2-story brick veneer home with finished basement, and it has 3 bedrooms, 1 half bath, and 3 full bathrooms. The year built is 1966 with an effective age of 2011. The quality is good minus, and the finished square footage is 1,650. The appellant does feel that the 11.8% increase is unfair due to the market. The appellant's neighborhood did increase. The appellant's neighborhood 508063 increased on average 2.3% due to the sales that occurred within the analysis period and within the neighborhood. But the property's effective age of 2011 and quality of good minus appear correct after reviewing the sales within the analysis. After reviewing the comparables submitted by the appellant, the property records have some differences, but do appear in line and are equalized. Some of the appellant's comps are average plus quality and some are good quality. The cost table updates and quality calibration that occurred last year made different percentage changes for different qualities. In general, higher quality homes saw a larger increase and lower quality homes saw a smaller change. For the subject's neighborhood, low range qualities, average through good minus, saw changes to the total assessment closer to 0 to 2%, where mid-range qualities, good through very good plus, saw total changes in assessment levels closer to 3 to 5%. These adjustments are in the quality calibration were confirmed with recent sales. All three of the sales comps we used in the analysis are of similar quality as the subject and are all original homes that have undergone renovations and have EAs similar to the subject around the mid 2000s. They are good examples of the market value in this neighborhood. The subject property was inspected in 2023 as part of a sales verification, and at that time, the effective age was increased 15 years, and the quality was changed from average plus to good minus. And these changes were verified during our most recent interior inspection, so that would have caused a significant jump from 2023 to 2024. It is recommended that the 2024 assessment of $928,200 be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members? Mr. Lawson.
Yes, this is for the owner. You bought it in July of 23 for 950,000. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct.
And in 5 months, you think it went down by 100,000?
As I said before, I was basing my recommended number off of not off of its own sale, but off of the rise in the in the houses next to it that had not sold. So I recognize that that's a low number.
Any other, Mr. Metzger?
I have a question for the department. I was reading just as you read on page 2 in the middle paragraph. In the middle of that paragraph, higher quality homes saw larger increases than lower quality homes. And skip to, for the subject's neighborhood, low qualities average through good minus, which is what the appellants is, saw changes to the total assessment closer to no change to 2% increase. But yet this was up 12%. Explain, please.
I think a big part of that was the fact due to the sales verification that happened in 2023. It was increasing the effective age significantly and increasing the quality that year. So it not only, it didn't see the standard 0 to 2% because it jumped another level of quality, an increased level of quality. Based on the sales verification, the MRIS, which we also verified when we did the interior inspection.
Brandon.
Any other questions?
Really
okay,
goes
Mr.
back
Churchill, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
I'm sorry, did you say me? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Again, the subject was inspected in 2023 as part of a sales verification, which did cause an increase to the effective age, and the quality was changed from average plus to good minus. And it is recommended that the 2024 assessment of $928,200 be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Downs, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Yes, I appreciate everything the county said. I guess my main concern is that the county's arguing that the sort of drastic increase is because of the 2023 assessment, because it was being sold. So I feel like that's inequitable because it puts a burden on new home buyers versus people who lived in the community for longer, not being held to the same standard. But that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you both. It's just some unbelievable. I would just say it's been underassessed. I'm sure it
still is.
Downs. Yeah, I mean, it's less than the sales price. I mean, they were getting a break on it. It's unfortunate, but if Mr. Downs had, looked at that and said to his realtor, hey, I don't want to offer 950. I want to offer the tax assessment of 850 and purchase the property. You know, the seller wasn't going to do it. So it's unfortunate that it did get caught up, you know, all in 1 year, but it was unusually low.
We've seen it before.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately, that's how it happens when the county is made aware of it. So I think it's a fair assessment.
I agree.
I mean, it's very seldom that we increase assessments, which we did years ago. And it was based on sales prices. In this case, if we were going to go in that route, we would have increased the sales price.
Right.
I think the assessment of 928 is
It, when I first reviewed this, I thought to myself, I think it's a little bit high. And then I looked at what he paid.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll move to confirm the county. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Panorama, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. The county is confirmed unanimously at 928. Thank you.
I ran his price with the double 2%. Yeah, he was what? I
All right,
put the 2% over.
You can do that after. Okay, do we have Ms. Calkins? I saw it popped up there. You can turn your camera back on. There we go. Okay, the final case is RPC 24013-018, 3609 2nd Street South. Ms. Calkins, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about this property.
Good morning, members of the board. Thank you for hearing my case. I appreciate the time and the work that the county appraiser put into the revised assessment of $664,000. And I'm grateful that Ms. Churchill concluded that my home is in fact worth less than the value the county had been assuming. But the downward revision should go further. So I asked the Board of Equalization to hear my plea to equalize my home's assessed value with its true fair value. The appraiser used the original 2024 assessment of $706,000 as the starting point, and perhaps she's required to. But that assessment was based on years of inaccurate information and resulting compounded increases. So the downward revision she prescribed still doesn't bring the assessment into line. If we started with the assessed value the year I bought it, made the corrections she rightly noted in her appraisal report, and then factor in 0 improvements, the assessed value would not reach $664,000 due to the aspects that the appraiser thankfully corrected. I've been overcharged and therefore overpaying property taxes since I purchased the home. A couple of observations about the appraisal report. Thankfully, the appraiser corrected the bedroom count from 3 bedrooms to 2. That should decrease the assessed value, and I don't understand why it did not. As for comparables, my home's square footage is smaller than all of the comparables in the appraiser's memo. And the CMA map shows that the comparables are all nestled blocks away from the 2 schools, the 7-Eleven and the county fair, buffered against noise and traffic, whereas mine is right up against the 2 schools, the 7-Eleven and the Arlington County Fair, and therefore subjected to their noise and traffic. Even the assessment history listed in the appraisal report lists no reason for change each year other than an apparent automatic annual upward adjustment. I didn't realize until this year that I should have been challenging the assessment every single year, going through this time-consuming process of countering the automatic inflation that is apparently based on the value of other people's homes and not mine. Instead, until this year, I've been unquestioningly paying my ballooning property taxes as a good citizen, but they're crushing me. Arlington County pays a lot of lip service to ensuring that Arlington remains affordable, and yet the county is pricing out homeowners like me who are forced to choose between paying inflated property taxes and simply even maintaining our homes, much less improving them. So the county is throwing us to the predatory developers who swoop in like vultures to buy up, tear down, and replace original homes like mine with McMansions and multiplexes that max out every square inch of their lot and cast shadows on surrounding homes. I don't want to do that to my neighbors, but the county seems to want me to. I dread each rainfall because my basement needs waterproofing, which is expensive. I've put it off for years, understanding that if I don't pay my property taxes, I stand to lose the house. So I'm in this lose-lose predicament. At most, my home is worth its pre-pandemic assessment because the pandemic, the rise of telework, and the decrease in daily commuting really undercut my home's original value as an affordable commuting location. And since I overpaid the county for nearly a decade, based on erroneous information in the record, I respectfully ask the board to decrease my home's assessed value down below $600,000. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Churchill for the county, please.
Yes, good morning. An interior and exterior inspection was completed on March 14th of 2024. This property is a 2-story brick veneer and shingle asbestos home with unfinished basement. It has 2 bedrooms and 1 full bath. It was built in 1938 with an effective age of 1965. The quality is average plus, and the finished square footage is 1,120. The appellant does feel that the 1.3% increase is unfair due to the market and feels that the location being across from the 7-Eleven, being located next to Fleet Elementary, and being 1 block away from the Arlington County Fair are all reasons as to why the home is less desirable and therefore should be valued less than it is currently. The appellant's neighborhood 508070 increased on average 2.1% due to the sales that occurred within the analysis period and within the neighborhood. And the subject property's effective age of 1965 appears correct due to minimal updates within the home. The property was inspected to verify interior and exterior information. During the review, the subject's quality was changed from good to good minus, causing the value to decrease from 706,100 to 681,000. But after receiving the BOE application and reviewing and verifying more late sales, the department determined a further reduction from good minus to average plus needed to be corrected and changed following the late sales. This change caused a further reduction, causing the improvement value to go from 681,000 to 664,300. There had historically been a negative 2% adjustment on the land and the improvement to account for being across from a busy commercial property. This adjustment is on all 5 properties located on the same block as the subject. Homes on this block are not only across from a busy commercial property, being the 7-Eleven, but also between Glebe Road, Fleet Elementary, and Thomas Jefferson Middle School. This street, 2nd Street, is also commonly used as a cut through. There is a negative 5 adjustment in place to account for these factors. RPC 241316, which is 3617 2nd Street South, is on the same block as the subject and sold for $750,000 in 2021. The assessment value for 2022 was $753,400, which shows that these 2 adjustments, which total negative 7%, are in line with the market. And when comparing the subject's property to average plus homes within the neighborhood, the subject's quality of good did appear high. Their surrounding properties on the same block as the subject have higher quality of good, but have the same adjustment to the land and are equalized. This property, when inspected, we did correct the bedroom count from 3 to 2, which I hope that I did explain when I was out there. It's for descriptive purposes. It does not have a value. The bedroom count, changing that will not affect the value. We corrected the bathroom count from 2 to 1, We corrected the basement square footage from 400 to 0. It is unfinished. And we changed the quality from good to average plus. We also corrected the shed detached garage from good to average plus after reviewing the sales analysis. And we applied the -7 adjustment to the subject's improvement and surrounding properties on the block to match the 2 economic obsolescences already on the land. So the improvement value did change from 138,600 to 96,800. The total improvement value changing from 706,100 to 664,300. So it is recommended that the 2024 assessment be revised to the 664,300 based on the inspection changes made. And this amount can be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members? I'll just ask, Ms. Churchill, initially here. Is there a reason why the tax assessment of the surrounding properties was not included?
On the ones on the same block?
Yeah.
Yes.
See residentials that would have been helpful to have.
I don't know why we didn't include it. I apologize.
All right.
And you look up the next door neighbor quickly to see, just for now. Take her two.
Oh, which ones? On the right is 693 and on the left is 661. Yeah. I have a question.
Yep, Mr. Hoffman.
Yeah, Nicole, you said that there was a -2% adjustment on the land and the improvements.
Yep.
Because of the busy road, 7-Eleven, gas station, all that stuff. And then after that, you said like there was a -5 because of the cut through. That's on the land on top of that too, or how did you calculate that?
So we actually did a pretty detailed research in regards to what Glebe was getting, because they're not technically Second Road as of right now is not considered a busy street based on our previous study. But we do acknowledge that maybe going forward, it possibly could become a busy road because it is used as a cut through. And so Glebe is getting a -10%. And so there was a -5 on surrounding homes that were kind of just off of Glebe, but not necessarily on it directly. So what we did is we took that -5% and applied it in addition to the -2% for being across from the 7-Eleven and the commercial property to make it more equitable.
So is that
without being directly on Glebe?
On the subject land, you took the extra 5 or on land and improvements?
Land and improvements.
So she's getting a 7% locational adjustment.
Yes.
Because of all the issues.
Yes.
But if you were on Glebe proper, you'd be getting a 10%, right?
10, yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, that's helpful.
Mr. Lawson.
Yes, also for the county, excuse me, no reduction based on lot size? Yeah.
I mean, there is no reduction, but you can see that it is significantly less than at least the ones on page 4 of the comparable sheet. She's got 4,815. The other ones are a little bit higher. The third comp, 24,1716 is 4,600. And is actually still that land is actually higher than the appellants.
Okay. Mr. Hoffman.
Just one more. So the lots that back up to it are duplexes, or they share a party wall. And did you have any sales on those? Because they look like they're assessed about the same as the subject property, but each one is a duplex instead of a freestanding house.
If you'll give me 1 second. Mike, give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull it up now.
By the map would have been good.
I'm not sure how that happened. I apologize.
I'm just thinking about relative value as far as what those are selling for being duplexes.
Sorry. I'm trying to pull it up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, can I ask one? See what she's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing, at least from this previous analysis, I'm not seeing any of the side-by-sides in as a recent sale.
Mr. Lawson?
Yeah, also, again, for the county, the deduction of the 2% and the 5%, that was deducted from what figure?
It was deducted from the original assessment value, which was the 706,100.
Okay, thank you.
I gotta follow up on that. The 706,000 original assessment was based on facts about the property that you have subsequently found to be false. Basement.
Correct.
Right, so the percentage is higher than what they would have gotten.
Percentage, I don't understand.
Well, if they took the 2% and the 5% came off of it at a higher amount, so it was a higher deduction as opposed to.
I know, but it's a higher amount. I mean, I would think I thought the 7% was going to come off of just the facts about the improvement. And then say, oh, but in other words, if
Right,
it were a
but the
mile.
5% have been on the property. Those deductions have been on the property. So the fact that originally it had an assessment at 706, it was applied.
Of course, that was known. The outside influence was known. And let me process that a second. Thanks.
Anything else? Okay, Ms. Churchill, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Based on all the corrections that we made, and the additional 7% that was applied to become more equalized, it is recommended that the 2024 assessment be revised to 664,300 based on the inspection changes made, and this amount can be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. Thank you.
And Ms. Calkins, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
I think Ms. Churchill for looking at this so carefully. I am asking for a further reduction in large part because I've been overassessed and overpaid, and I overpaid my property taxes for nearly a decade. I respectfully request the board take that into account and further reduce the assessed value. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. All right, it's just among the board members. As much as I'm sympathetic to that, you know, unfortunately, we can't do that. It's just.
The money's already been spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go back in court's only way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but our authority doesn't allow us to. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly sympathize.
So your question, Greg, the duplexes behind, they look the same when you look at from the front, but one of them has a smaller lot than the next one. And the ones behind, right behind the appellant's property, it's at 3608 First Street. That one is assessed at 669,600.
Yeah.
And the other one next to it is 655,600. The one on the other side, it's 695,500, and those are duplicates.
And that's where she's getting the reduction for her location. Right. They're not.
They're not.
So she's basically them.
It's a totally different feel, right, being on first than on second there. I mean, my point, totally experienced the Saturday morning basketball rush when there's everybody and their mother trying to park on that street and driving around as they're transitioning from one group of kids to another. I almost think that location's worse than Glebe Road as far as the locational adjustment. I'm kind of thinking it is the one property directly across from the driveway out of the gas station. And the only way to get out of that gas station and head south on Glebe is to go out second, make a left at the light. And so you get headlights all hours of the night, probably going right into your living room or your bedroom. Whereas your neighbor to the left or the right might not. And look, a buyer that's going to spend $600,000, $700,000 on a home is going to be sophisticated enough to figure that out if they're shopping. Realtors know it. What I was thinking is I appreciate the 7%. I would do another 2 just for that property that's right at the drive exit from the gas station, which took it down to 651 even.
I used to live in Dominion Arms, which is on the other side, and when that county fair happens, it's crazy.
You need to go out of town.
I mean, actually,
Yeah.
Preston hired guards.
Well, let's keep, okay, it's 4 days out of the year. And
Yeah,
some
the
people
gas station
Take
is
that
for
as a positive thing.
every single day.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mr. Mattson?
I was just gonna say, I thought the department mentioned in 8-minute comments that you're gonna take a look at that block again. I would recommend that I mean, I would recommend that highly. I'm not so sure that I would reduce by 2% that one home. I would reduce all of them by 2% because of the proximity to Glebe.
10%.
Yeah, I mean, 2%, 3%. I mean, Greg said 2.
Yeah, this is like the perfect storm of being at a bad location. And at 7, I did 10%, got 635, and maybe that's too aggressive. But I think of all the properties I know about, this one's really tough. I mean, to live there is tough.
So what you're saying is comps really are not.
Because it's
that one little
upside.
stretch right there by the school, the Dominion Arms, the 7-Eleven or whatever it is.
Yeah, making an adjustment just on this home, I think. Have a fair together because 3613, the one next to it, it's assessed at 661, which is, I think, has the same inconvenience.
Yeah, I mean, cars are turning, lights are flashing.
I know that one is probably a little better condition than the others. Like we did with other cases. Like the last year's 5 until the county reassessed inspection.
Last year was 655.
I see it's 696.
676.
Yeah, based on faulty info. I would prefer the county look at that block more carefully.
Yeah, I'm sorry, no, I'm looking at the one next door, 3613. That one was assessed at 655. I don't really see why the balance would be higher than that.
What's it assessed this year?
661.
Are they all of them at 661, but
661 to the left, 693 to the right.
661 versus 664. I think the one next door.
That's one that's 696.
Yeah.
You cited. I don't know if we can get in that, bore in that without physically accessing all of these places.
I mean, it's very close, so the change that the assessor made, I would be okay with it.
I'm okay with the change to the
660.
I like the 650. 2% for the driveway coming out of the gas station.
And where are you guys?
It's not all the time. I mean, I know it's traffic here, but it's not.
It's pretty congested and busy.
Yeah, it just happens to be 11 o'clock at night when you're trying to go.
It's 24 hours a day. 7-Eleven is always open.
Yeah. 5 in the morning. Yeah. It's about 4:50.
And you got the fire station there, on the other side.
Oh,
of the
yeah.
lake.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And the Goodwill's gonna be redeveloped. Yeah.
Goodwill up the street.
That's right.
there's a lot of noise
That's,
from the ambulance. You know, the hospital was
Yeah,
there,
of
seven
course.
was there, Glebe Road was
yeah, I
there.
don't know if it's still.
The fire station, that all of them's there.
That's what I'm saying, that part. So I struggle.
My 2% is I'm under 10, which is Glebe. They need to study it, but I'm given some concession for the fact that as far as everything on Second, this is probably the worst possible location at the
Okay,
driveway
what's the
exit.
Final number.
651.
Okay, so. So we got over here, so we got 651, let's just see, because we don't want that you revert back to the original. We got Greg, and you're good with that. Where are you?
I'm good with that.
You don't have enough votes. So then somebody's gonna move for the revised from the county.
Well, how about we take the neighbors number 661?
Go with that.
All right, I'll motion to reduce to the 661,000.
Who is that based on? The numbers?
RPC 2401317, 3613 Second Street. Not seeing any discernible difference in value between the two
Okay.
properties.
Madam Chairman, could we add to the motion that we request, can't order, we request the department look at that block?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we add that to?
Yeah. Sure. Don't you second it?
Okay, I'll say.
So amended.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The assessment's reduced to 661,000 to equalize it with joining next door property at 240117. And we'd also like the department to reanalyze that entire block for the upcoming assessments. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you.
Okay, that completes the agenda. Okay, I have a couple other business items. Okay, so first off, in keeping with the rules that we use every year, we've had a request from Miss George, who's asked for a late application to be considered. The cutoff is April 15th. It's over a month plus some days late. It's for our commercial property. Is find attached. The Cadence received a 60% increase in the tax assessment. It's crippling. The deadline was missed based to staffing redundancies at Wesley. She's asking for an exception.
Based on redundancies at Wesley?
Yeah,
They fired somebody that was supposed to handle the case.
I don't know.
Well, it sounds like they're in trouble.
What is
Yeah,
Wesley?
Wesley House, this is the housing company?
Pardon?
This is the affordable housing group?
But unfortunately, I mean.
What's the property?
It's a can of worms if we all of a sudden.
It's
go-
a
Oh, then all
it's
the
a garden.
Yeah,
It's a
The
big
rules
project.
say you have to apply by the 15th to do it. I mean, historically, we have not allowed exceptions. People come in and go, oh, I missed it, or I was out of town. So, I don't know what everybody
what's the
feels.
property we're talking about?
Pardon me?
What property is it? Commercial property, you said?
Commercial property. For the Cadence and Knight's Bridge.
We had one, I think last year, the year before, I can't remember, where the individual, I think was in the hospital, and we still do.
An emergency.
So, and I remember I got outvoted on that, so I guess we ought to stick to,
But
Our
I'm just trying to
policy.
be, fair with
Yeah.
everybody, you know.
so I think we gotta say a thing. Plus it whacks the staff, they're trying to get everything to us so we can hear them. All of a sudden, something comes in this late.
Okay, so, do I have a motion to not accept it?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Mendez, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Batson, motion on the table is to not accept the late application for BOE hearing for the Cadence and Knightsbridge. All in favor? Aye. So it's unanimous. No exception. Didn't take care of that. Okay, the next up is, okay, so Ken asked earlier about when we were going to start virtual. So we right now have next week, which is the 29th, I believe. Yeah, 29th. Okay, so then we are going to have the following Tuesday, Wednesday. So when we go into rooms will be the 4th and 5th and 11th and 12th have been scheduled. The 4th and the 11th is both virtual for everybody. And on the 11th will be the commercial update.
That's what our meeting's about.
Hearings also.
Pardon me?
There's hearings handed.
Right, so the commercial update will be from 9 to 10, and then the cases will start at 10 o'clock. I believe there's 3 cases.